Hi there! How are you? Say, have you ever heard of this film called The Thief and the Cobbler? If not, please stick around. You might find this one very fascinating. Now, before we get into the nitty gritty, the basics is this is a very surreal animated film with lots of visual effects that suffered 3 decades of pre production, with the ordeal ending with executive meddling and going in a very weird route that honestly wasn't part of the plan. Now, the man of the hour in question for today is Richard Williams, the same man who worked on Raggedy Ann and Roger Rabbit. This film is a passion project that existed long before both movies, and he did the two more famous ones just to get this specific film off the ground. Our story begins in the distant year of 1964. Richard Williams illustrated a series of books about Middle Eastern folklore and set to adapt the stories into an animated movie. The author of these books and his family sponsored this film, and the author's brother wanted to be producer on it. And it formally began production in 1964. By 1972, though, Williams and the studio had produced 3 hours of footage. This all needed to be structured into a cohesive movie that could be understood by audiences. However, he soon realized that the family wasn't keeping track of the film's finances, and accused the producer of embezzling him. Williams lost the rights to the movie in the resulting legal kerfuffle. That said, it wasn't a total loss. He was allowed to keep the designs that he specifically made for the film, most notably a thief who became the center of the new project. Now, the brand new movie Williams was planning began production in 1973. Williams hired a lot of veteran animators who worked on black and white cartoons for this movie. However, this film still had production issues due to Richard Williams' incessant perfectionist attitude that led to dozens of missing deadlines, constant rewrites, and redone animations. In between this time, Williams took any job he could, including Raggedy Ann and Andy, just to fund it. A Saudi prince offered to fund the film, but eventually backed out due to Williams going over budget. Anyway, the project only got moving again when Williams gained funding from Warner Brothers after his success on Roger Rabbit, though it was under a specific contract agreement that the film would be completed for a specific date and budget. By this point, Williams' original animation staff either had passed on or had moved on. So, this required Williams hiring new talent. Unfortunately for the new talent, Williams held them to many draconian standards and fired thousands of them at will. The new phase saw Williams incorporate hand-drawn 3D techniques, something he employed at Roger Rabbit, and Williams kept having extended shots in the film that he felt were too good to end early, but he still wanted them in the film just for animation's sake. Oh, and by the way, these scenes didn't really add anything to the plot. How weird of him. All of this perfectionism led to another missing deadline, and the film needed 15 minutes more of completion. So he turned it over to a group called the Completion Bond Company, and because he was still missing deadlines, he eventually got replaced with a low budget animator named Fred Calvert for taking too long. This resulted in inconsistent animation and them throwing in Disney references to cash in on Aladdin. And for some reason, they turned the film into a musical, even though it wasn't supposed to be a musical. How strange of them. The film was released in 1993 in South Africa and Australia, where it was a financial and critical failure. But wait, there's more. It was further re-edited in 1995 by Miramax in the United States, and it was retitled to the name Arabian Night. Needless to say, this film wasn't able to make its budget back. Well, this film was only placed in 510 movie theaters, and it took only 2 weeks for them to pull it. Talk about bad luck. Interesting thing to note, you can actually find 3 versions of this movie online, but each one of them have different actors, edits, and soundtracks to them. Some are also containing scenes that weren't in the original, while others have scenes that are missing from the original. Oh, and one other thing to note. If you were to ask me what I personally consider the strangest thing about this story and movie, it would be the fact that at one point it was released as a prize in Kellogg's cereal boxes. It took 32 years to be a prize in a cereal box. How ironic fate can be. I mean, was 32 years to be a prize in the cereal box even worth it at this point? Of course not, don't be silly. Anyway, please be safe out there and have a wonderful rest of your day, okay? Bye!